Good morning. Happy Thursday. I am just going to have a sip of my protein coffee because I made it and I'm pretty sure I'll just let it cool down before I can fully enjoy it. But anyway, let's get into Q&A. I've got 8 questions today, so I'm going to try to rapid fire them as best as I possibly can. Of course, giving you complete answers. So we're going to dive right in. I've got questions about soreness, about protein coffee, snacks, snacking, specifically snack attacks, or what we call in our house snackcidents, inflammation, protein versus sleep, and more on protein. So let's dive right in. First question being, am I doing enough if I'm not sore the next day? When I'm working on arms, I feel like I'm working to the point of failure, but I'm not sore the next day. Maybe a little stiff, but not too much. Am I working hard enough? You are 100% working hard enough. If you are working to failure or near failure, you are working hard enough. Soreness is not an indication of a good workout. You can have a fantastic workout without feeling sore the next day. A little bit of stiffness, completely normal. Where you might experience more soreness is when you start a new workout, when you increase your weights, possibly when you do more reps. If you really focus on the eccentric phase of an exercise, so the lowering phase of an exercise, if you slow that down, you may experience more soreness just because your muscle is under tension for longer. But chasing soreness is not a goal. It shouldn't be a goal of your workouts. You obviously want to see yourself get stronger over time, but it does not mean that you need to be sore and like feeling like you've actually done a workout. Too much soreness can actually backfire against you and affect your next workout. It can affect mobility. It can potentially lead to injuries. So if you are continually progressing, whether that is, like I said, lifting more weight over time, doesn't have to be every single session. If you are possibly doing more reps with that same weight, like that's progress. And as I mentioned, the tempo, like slowing down, and I'm just showing you a bicep curl because it's easiest to do so, but slowing down that eccentric contraction of the muscle, lowering phase, can help you progress as well. So hopefully that helps and gives you some clarity. Next question. I am struggling with recovery. So kind of the opposite. I'm struggling with recovery after lower body. I'm usually sore, but even after backing off and taking it easy during my last lower body workout, because I knew I had not been consistent completing this workout, I am really sore in capital letters. Even gentle pressure on my quads is super uncomfortable. I've tried electrolytes, foam rolling, keeping hydrated, etc. Any advice? So a key thing in this question is she has not been consistent. So that is one thing right away. If you are not consistent with your workouts, you will not be able to lift the same thing from week to week. If I go on vacation, for example, and I don't lift for 2 to 3 weeks, I don't come back to that workout and try to lift the exact same weight that I had lifted previous to going on vacation. You will experience some pretty good amount of soreness if you are not consistent. Of course, there's tons of other factors that play into recovery and muscle soreness. So hydration, as she mentioned, that's important. Eating enough food. If you are not eating to fuel your muscle, to fuel your body in general, and again, I see that so much. Women just under eating, sometimes purposely, sometimes not because they're just busy. That will have an impact on your recovery. Sleep. or lack thereof will have an impact on recovery. If you don't warm up properly, that may impact recovery. If you don't cool down, if you don't do the mobility recovery piece of your workouts, which is incredibly important, that may lead to more soreness. But I think the biggest takeaway here is if you are inconsistent with your workouts, I tell you right now that you will likely not be able to keep up with lifting the same amount from week to week. It's just the way she goes. And of course, you won't see progress if you don't practice progressive overload and are not consistent with your workouts from week to week. One thing with myself is like, I'm just super consistent with mine. My workouts might not all be great. Some of them I have to drag my ass or my butt downstairs to get them done. Last week, for example, Saturday is typically a lower body day for me, just because I feel like I usually sleep pretty good on Friday nights, and then I'm ready to tackle a leg day. Last Saturday, I did not feel like doing it. I don't know. I can't remember how I slept, but it was like gorgeous outside. My routine was kind of thrown off. We had gone for a walk, and I'm like, I really don't want to do this. And we are finishing our basement. And so I just had like another excuse. We just had a ton of things to do. I had to go buy supplies. Anyway, I was like, Danielle, just go do 15 minutes. My workout ended up being 20 minutes. I only did 2 exercises because I'm also dealing with an injury, but that's beside the point. I still showed up and did what I could as opposed to my 30 to 40 minutes workout, sometimes 45. I just did 20 minutes, called her a day, felt really good about myself, and I was actually pleasantly sore, not extremely sore, but felt pretty good about it. So just a note on consistency, that's how you are going to prevent yourself from getting like extremely sore from week to week, and of course, see progress over time. Next question. I started taking protein coffee shakes with creatine and collagen before workouts. Should I take the same mixture post-workout? You do not have to have the same mixture post-workout. Creatine should only be taken once a day. 3 to 5 grams. It doesn't matter when you take it. Doesn't matter if it's pre or post-workout. Just, again, consistency. Every day. And even if you miss a day, like I don't take my creatine on holiday. If I go on a weekend getaway, if I go on 2 or 3 weeks, I have not taken my creatine. I do take my protein powder and my other supplements, but I don't take my creatine when I travel. I'm not sure why. Probably because it's just another thing to pack, honestly. But I do know there are single serving packets of creatine, so maybe I'll start doing that, but it's just not a necessity for me right now. So you do not have to have your collagen and creatine pre and post workouts to optimize your results. You can have, did I say creatine? Creatine and collagen. I'm not sure if that's what I said. You can have collagen post workout. But again, like if you're supplementing with it once, probably good enough. I'm a huge advocate of whole foods. Eat as much real food as possible. It's just going to have your body work harder to digest it, which may increase your overall caloric burn, improve your metabolism, and just have you feeling fuller longer. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but if you have like a protein smoothie, for example, versus with the same amount of protein, with the same amount of protein from like a chicken breast, for example, that meal with chicken breast, like the same macro breakdown, I should say. So a protein smoothie versus a meal of potatoes, vegetables, and chicken breast, for example, you're gonna be a lot fuller with the meal versus the smoothie. So that's my 2 cents on that question. All right, next, any tips for snack attacks would be helpful. As I said at the beginning of this live, we call them snackcidents in our house. Sometimes they happen. Rob coined that term. He tends to have more snackcidents than I do, because I eat balanced meals. I don't skip any meals. That man, he tends to skip meals. I don't know if it's on purpose or if he just gets busy from work. But let's get back to this question here. She said, I've been so hungry this week that I am not always reaching for healthy things, and I went overboard with my calories a few times. So with snacking, this is something that I used to do consistently. The cookie dough queen. I made cookie dough, oh gosh, I'd say 2 to 3 times a week, and just eat cookie dough. Which was probably hundreds and hundreds of calories, fat, raw eggs, butter. Oof, just thinking about it now just kind of makes me a little bit nauseous. But if you are dealing with snacks, it's likely because you're not eating big meals, balanced meals. You likely have some blood sugar imbalances. Maybe you are fasting or skipping meals. Cravings are a symptom or a signal from your body. Now that I am eating like big balanced meals, as I've mentioned before, like I will eat 3 main meals, sometimes 1 snack. But those main meals, we're looking at like 6, 7, sometimes 800 calorie meals. I don't snack anymore. It's crazy. If Rob is snacking beside me, then just out of, I guess, bad habit of just like reaching over, it's not because I'm hungry, but it's just because he's doing it beside me. Honestly, it really comes down to eating for blood sugar balance. Like lots of protein forward. Don't be scared to eat large meals. Because if you don't, you're just going to end up in this situation where you're hungry and then you're just choosing poor options, right? I would also work on hydration. Sometimes dehydration can be confused for hunger. I suggest that you are drinking in between your meals. We just don't want to be like chugging a lot of water with our meals, just because that can impact digestion and just like dilute the beautiful digestive juices that we have in our system to break down and then help absorb food. But one thing you can do if you're not sure if you're thirsty or hungry is to drink some water. Have a big old glass of water or some dandelion tea or nettle tea or whatever it is you have on hand. Wait 15 minutes. If you are still hungry, then you possibly need some food. Sometimes hunger and thirst can be confused for one another. So, yeah, that's a trick I like to use. And cravings come and go. You might just need to give yourself a little bit of a break and really ask yourself, like, am I truly hungry? Sometimes those cravings will pass and then you'll be able to wait until your next meal. So I will leave it at that. If anybody else has any helpful tips when it comes to snacking, just let me know or let everybody else know. Okay, I'm feeling much better during my workouts and disciplined with eating. Go you. I'm just feeling a bit inflamed and I'm not sure what's causing it. I haven't been drinking alcohol or eating fast food. I've been eating a lot of tomatoes from my garden. Do you think that could cause it? 100%. There are foods that are called nightshades, and tomatoes sit in that category. And they can 100% have an impact on, not everybody, on certain people who just react to nightshades. And nightshades, I just have a list here, can be potatoes, peppers, eggplants, to name a few. So if you are eating really well, and that's the tricky thing here. Like tomatoes are considered like they're good food, right? They are actually anti-inflammatory foods. They have something called lycopene, which is an antioxidant and is known to reduce inflammation, but not everybody responds to all foods the same. And so I've actually experienced this from time to time with nightshades if I'm eating like a lot of them. And I went through a phase where I was eating potatoes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I love potatoes. And was just noticing like just some inflammation in my face, and I notice it in my joints right away. If I'm going up and down stairs, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'll really notice it kind of in my ankles, to be honest with you. When I take my socks off at the end of the day, sometimes there's like marks in and around my ankle, and then I just notice like the mobility of my ankles are off, and then I notice that in my workouts as well. So sometimes I have to pull back on these nightshades. So yes, it is possible that a lovely food like tomatoes, if you are overdoing it, and this client was eating them for like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I think maybe some snacks. So we are getting her to just pull back on these nightshades to truly see if that's what's triggering bloating that she's experiencing, as well as inflammation and joint pain. Next, what is worse, skipping protein or skipping sleep? What do you think I'm gonna say? Skipping sleep, in my opinion. Sleep is, I've said this before, it should be like your second job. It is so darn important. That is when like your hormones balance. That is when your body recovers, your brain recovers. We can do without protein, and not entirely, like you're gonna eat some type of protein, but if you are continually lacking sleep or having poor sleep, that is going to have a way larger impact on all body systems than a lack of protein will. Do I need to supplement with protein powder, or can I eat real protein to do the job? I think you know the answer to this one because I said it already today. Protein, real food can 100% do the job. And if you need some help with protein, I have a lovely PDF that I can send to you. So just send me a DM and I will send that your way. You can hit your protein goals, even if it's 160 grams, like myself, with real food. It is possible. Are you going to be really full? Yes. Are you going to have an amazing body? Probably, because protein in itself, like without even strength training, actually creates muscle synthesis. There's muscle building that does happen, not too much. I'm still advocating for you to strength train just because there's so many other benefits to that, but protein on its own is so beneficial. It balances blood sugar, it keeps you fuller longer, and it just helps to maintain muscle, which increases your metabolism. It can help you tone easier. It can help you to lose body fat easier. So protein powder, love it. I do use it. I'm not against it whatsoever, but you can just choose to eat real whole food sources if you do not want to supplement with protein powder. Whew, okay, I kept this under 20 minutes. Yes. Any questions, any feedback, let me know, and I'll be back next week. Talk to you soon.